It's Sean Murphy from Skmurphy. I want to talk to you today about some of the challenges you may be facing with technology adoption, getting users to try and adopt your technology. So in this Chalk Talk, I want to talk about how you get customers to try out your technology and use it. Let's assume that this is your prospect's status quo. And this way is the way they want to go. This is more profitability, this is more productivity, general goodness. With your solution, you should be able to move them to a higher level of performance, higher level of profitability, right? This difference is the benefit you're promising. So the question you're really trying to figure out is, based on an analysis of where they are, is this where they'd like to be? The most likely answer, optimistically, is yes. In fact, how do we get there? How do I get this into production? How long does it take? What's involved? So one transition curve might look something like this, where they have to invest time, people time, focus, dollars, and that takes away from their current status quo. But that investment transforms the way they're working to allow them to get to this higher level of performance. However, when they look at this chart, or they hear this story from you, they make a couple of adjustments in terms of how they calculate this. First of all, they assume that the costs are actually going to be higher. Things are going to be a little worse than you're talking about. Secondly, they assume that the benefits are not going to be as high. So when they do a cost-benefit calculation, they may come in at half or a third of what you're promising them. Your temptation is to attack this by adding more features, by doing more for them, by essentially promising them a higher level of benefit. Say, well, what if we could do this for you, right? The problem with that is that your transition now looks like this. There's actually more cost involved, right? A bigger problem with this is that the time to get back to kind of status quo has now been lengthened, right? And as long as they're below this line, they made themselves worse off. They put themselves at risk, they put their careers at risk in larger companies. This is a proxy for the amount of risk in the decision to work with you. And so what you've done is, you may not have substantially affected the cost-benefit ratio, but you've clearly added to the risk. If plan A was not acceptable, this new plan is probably less acceptable. So let's take another approach. Let's look at a different way to solve this problem.